Hi, let's get started. I want to talk to you about what's been happening at the end of this month and what's going to be happening at the beginning of next month in March. So there's a lot going down. So there'll be some continuation from the earlier talks that I've given, and then we'll move into looking at the energies that will take us forward to March. So I talked to you about the fact that February has been a really great month for most of us in terms of moving our businesses forward. Some of you, no doubt, have been unbelievably busy. And I also told you that now we've got Mars in Taurus, so things at the end of the month noticeably will be slowing down a little bit. And they're going to continue to slow down a little bit, because what we've also got happening coming in soon, very early March, and I think it's around the 4th about the 4th, is we're going to have a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So Pisces is really busy. So we've got the Sun in Pisces, we've got Chiron in Pisces, and if you want to know about Chiron and Pisces, just go and have a look at the other video. I'm not going to spend too much time going back. We've got the Sun in Pisces. Now we've got Venus in Pisces and Mercury doing a retrograde in Pisces. So we've got a lot happening. So excuse me, I've got my notes because there's so much happening. So that's some of the stuff that I want to talk to you. So this is going to take us up to the new moon on the 6th. And let's have a look at that. So we've got beautiful Pisces, which is a great sign. And no, I'm not a Piscean, but I know a lot of people who are from Pisces. And they're great nurturers. So we've got this wonderful nurturing sign of Pisces. We've got the Sun in Pisces. We've got Chiron in Pisces. And it's going to be joined by Venus. Now, Venus. Lots of people talk about Venus as being the planet of amour, love. And it is the planet of love. But it's actually fundamentally the planet of what makes us feel valuable. Yeah. So if we are feeling loved, we feel valued. So Venus is actually about what gives us value. And that will change for all of us as we progress. And it will be different for different people at different times in your life. So it's not just about more. It can be amour. It can be a love. It can be about wealth. It can be about work, reputation. It can be about friendships, respect, standing in the community. So Venus is really about what makes us feel valued. So we've gone into the beautiful nurturing Pisces. Venus is going to join Chiron. Chiron, remember, is about having a look at what's under the surface, looking at all those tensions where we don't feel valued. So there's going to be enormous focus in the next 2 weeks on what makes us feel valued. Now, when something is being really focused on, often we get this feeling of tension. And remember, tension, because we can't put our finger exactly on what's driving it, we often feel a little bit what I would call ratty or irritable. We often feel the need to really push forward and to drive forward. And remember, we've also got Mars there, but Mars is in Taurus, right? So Mars and Taurus is slow down, yeah? So what I'm going to say to you is still stay in the flow. You want to know about the flow, go back to the really early video that talks about, the first video that talks about February. Stay in the flow. What is working for you, work with. What is not working with you at this stage, don't work with immediately. Put it to the side. If you can't put it to the side, take some deep breaths. Either seek someone else to help you get perspective on it, but take your time with it. Don't feel rushed into doing things because we've got this sense of urgency that's being driven by this tension. It's a good idea, if you're feeling that way, to go into the tension. Yeah? And what I mean by doing that is spend some time with it, meditate with it, muse with it, gin and tonic, cup of tea, spend some time in the garden, walk around, and just ask yourself, what is driving this feeling of urgency? Yeah, because remember, just because you feel urgent doesn't mean that it is urgent. Yeah, you're in the driving seat at all times. Okay, so have a little think about that. We've also got Mercury retrograde in Pisces as well, and Mercury is the god of communication. But remember, Mercury is the god between the world above, the communication god between the world above and the world below. Yeah, Pisces is now full of a lot of houses like Chiron that's making us look at what lies below. And Venus, we're also having a look at what makes us feel valued. Yeah. So we're also now having a little look, if you like, and when I say below, I mean below the surface, in the subconscious, not readily able for us to access it. And that's gone into retrograde. So Mercury has gone into retrograde in Pisces. So it's a great time to get messages about what's making me feel uncomfortable, what is not quite right, what should I be looking to reassess and perhaps either integrate or make changes in. So it's a really good time to do that. Okay, if you do not know how to meditate, and lots of us don't worry about that. Replace the word meditate with muse, which means sit with it and just let the thoughts flow. And do this somewhere where you are happy. Do this somewhere where you are comfortable. And do this somewhere where you feel nurtured. Yeah? So do it with a little bit of self-care. So pot of tea in the morning, gin and tonic in the evening, glass of red wine. Depending when you are, it might be too hot for red wine, go for white wine. It doesn't matter. Just sit and relax. For those of you who do not take alcohol, doesn't matter either. Your favorite juice. It's not important what you have. It's important that you enjoy it. And when you're happy, then sit down and think about the feelings you've got and see if you can't find them. For those of us who are sailing through and having a great time, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. It's been fantastic. So, just be aware that simple things could take a little bit longer over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're going to have this sense of urgency. Don't push it. Things will become a little bit clearer after the 6th when we get the new moon. Yeah, the new moon, I think it's going to be in Aries. Don't particularly worry about where that is. There's some great readers that talk about the new moon. And if you're really looking for some insights, try Sarah Viber. She's on YouTube. She does great readings about the full moon and the new moon, the phases of the moon. So what you need to be thinking about is, in the next couple of weeks, if I've got these tensions, where are they coming from? What's not sitting right with me? And make some little adjustments. Don't feel panicked about pushing everything forward, because that's not what you should be doing right now. Yeah? Don't worry about pushing things forward. Just don't do it. And forgive me, I'm a bit itchy. So what you have to be thinking about is what makes me happy, what makes me feel fulfilled, stay in the flow. If this is working, I'm going to go with it. If this is too much of a hassle, I'm just going to sit with it and leave it until I get some clarity. So don't go with this big push. On top of that, Uranus, which is the planet of unpredictability, and it likes to throw you a curveball. Now, it's all good that comes from Uranus, although sometimes when it first happens, it's like, I don't like that at all. Because what it can throw up is not what you were expecting, because it is unexpected happenings. It's not what you were thinking it was going to be. So sometimes what's going to happen with Uranus is, oh my God, that was not what I wanted to happen with this project or this aspect of my life, and it's happened. Now, Uranus is going into Taurus, which is also kind of nice, because now we have Mars and we have Uranus and Taurus. So that also means that these things that are unpredictable, they're going to slow down. Yeah? They're not going to come in and sweep you off your feet. They're going to be, well, it's earthy, so it is still going to happen, but it's going to be a lot slower and a lot more deliberate in the change. But being Uranus, you know it's going to be unexpected. not going to be quite what you planned. And I've had some of that already. What is that saying? The best laid plans of mice and men. But in actual fact, even though at the time it was really, I could have beaten myself up. I could have beaten everybody else up who was involved in it. Forgive the saying, but you know that feeling when you're just like, ah! So what actually happened with all of that turned out to be great. And as soon as I had that float through my mind, which we all get, let's face it, we're all real. As soon as I let that go and went, okay, it's happened, I just got to deal with it, it's not a big problem, that's exactly what happened to it. It became a small problem, and it could have been a huge problem. But it was early signs of this. I needed to do something. I've been putting it off. I thought I'd managed to skirt around it, and the powers that be, which is certainly not me, said, no, you need to do this. This is really, really good for you. And in actual fact, it turned out to be really, really good for me, although it was not what I really wanted to do. But once I got my head around it and made the most of the situation, it worked out beautifully. Okay. So the focus is going to be on us. The focus is going to be on understanding us, what we value. We might be feeling some tensions, not quite really comfortable with a few things that are happening, and that's okay, because what that is that's just saying, hey, pay attention to this. You might need to look at this more. Do you really want to do this? Is this really what you want to do? Does this fit in with who you are and how you identify yourself? So that's what's happening now. Plus now we get a little bit of Uranus and Taurus with Mars and Taurus. So we're going to have Mars as action, Uranus is unexpected action. So expect the unexpected, I would say, for the next couple of weeks. But remember that the unexpected can really bring you in something that's going to really work in your favor. Yeah? It's not about following the plan. It's about responding to what happens in your life. Yeah? Good to have a plan, good to have an ending, but don't get stuck in 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember what I said about flow. Flow is going to create these things coming into your life, unexpected, respond and move with them. Now, the last thing I just want to have a chat to you about is that Pluto is going to be really active and has already been active, and as I'm speaking to you now, is quite active. And Pluto is about what lies below the surface. So he has been having, and it's a he, see, sometimes a he, sometimes a she. He has been having squares with the Sun and Venus. So what that is looking at is it's forcing you to go in a little bit deeper. And so anything that you're doing that's not sitting well with your values is going to be highlighted. And normally that highlight is a little bit of tension, or it's going to be something that someone says to you, and that's where you're going to have to go, oh, okay, so I didn't see that as a consequence of me doing that. I didn't see that as an interpretation of how I did that. And because it's the Sun in Pisces as well, and Venus in Pisces as well, a lot of it is having a look at who you are and how you are representing yourself to the outside world, and whether that is being true to your internal values. So are the demonstrations of your external values reflecting in a true way your internal values? And that's where it's going to be focused on. Now, what's interesting about that is that Mercury, communication planet, messages, don't forget, underneath and above, but also you'll be getting messages from the people around you about how your external projection is reflecting your internal projection. And again, welcome those, right? Don't get defensive about them. If you think that they're not true, stand up for yourself by all means and correct that observation, correct that statement. But be aware that this is a message to you to take that time to reflect on how your external projection is reflecting who you truly are. And most importantly, remember your external projection of who you are, is interpreted is valued by the people who receive that communication, by the people who see you. It's not about you. Yeah? So it's how they're interpreting what you're putting out. So that's why you might need to make some changes in how you're projecting yourself. Just because while you think what you're doing is spot on and terrific with what you are valuing about yourself, so your internal and your external are together, perhaps how the messages are being received and how they're being understood is not how you want it to be. So you can expect with Mercury in retrograde to get some subliminal messages yourself, spending time with yourself, about external, internal projection of self, as well as getting some feedback from those around you about how your projection of your external self is reflecting your internal self and whether that is sitting well with your community. Yeah? So that's what's going to be happening. It's going to be quite busy. And then, of course, we have a new moon, which is a new opportunity for things to come together. So some of your plans that you have been expecting might take fruit, but that's going to be close to around the 6th or after the 6th. And I'll probably come back in a couple of weeks and give you an update on where that's at. So it's all about you. It's all about your internal values, your external values. Are they aligned? Do they mesh up? Are you giving out a very consistent message about who you are and what you do and how that is valued and seen? So that's going to be coming up. And there's going to be some tensions. So again, it's just another opportunity for you to have a look at yourself and how you're being reflected in the world and what's coming back at you. Now, again, just remember, some of us will be being pushed, driven, have to get that done. Don't feel hurried, don't feel rushed, don't feel that you need to push these things through, because it's always, it's the tension that's driving that tension between what lies above and what lies below. And sometimes that is the unease that's within that. So don't feel hurried about the tension. Spend some time with it. Try to understand it. And if you feel you're being really pushed to make a decision or to push something forward, just take some breaths and think about whether that tension or that deadline is real or is it self-imposed, and do you have some movement with that? Okay. So it's going to be another couple of interesting weeks. I'll end it there. I'll do the tarot in a little bit, see if there's any other messages that you can take forward. Enjoy yourself and don't get too caught up. Right? Remember the flow. Don't get caught up in the tensions. They're there to help you. They're there to let you explore yourself. They're there to help you understand more who you are. Nothing more. Nothing less. And for those of you who are not feeling those tensions, you just keep riding that wave, because that wave for the next, we've got another 2 weeks of that wave of pure energy pushing us forward in our endeavours. Make the most of this. All right, you too. Have a great time, you guys, and thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye.